So something we have to do, I need to pick a spot where I'm going to put my airbags in here, and I've decided I'm going to put them up close to the axle, you know, so they'll be, the bracket I'm going to make will be in here somewhere. These holes, you say? I think those are factory. No, I know what it is. I watched a video of a guy with a race car, and to get rid of weight, he would drill holes in his frame. So I was doing that because I want more performance out of my Dodge Dakota. That's all. So since I'm moving it forward, the holes are going to end up in this area somewhere. And the problem with that is there's a brace back behind here and like webbing and stuff that I just need to get rid of. I'll give you an over top shot. So you can kind of see it on the other side. I'll come around here. So I want my airbag bracket to be like right in here. So there's probably going to be bolts going through here somewhere, and this side is going to get in the way. So I'm going to take this whole plate out, and let me come back around where you can hear me. So I'm going to take this whole plate out, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while, because my bed or anything I put on here is going to sit up here, and it would be nice to have that extra space under there in case I wanted to do like a big gas tank, or maybe I'll weld something up in here and put my spare tire back in, but be able to get it to go, you know, all the way up to the top rail level rather than just up to there. So one thing I'm seeing right away, I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Yeah. So one of my shock mounts is right here. So we'll have to decide how we're going to redo that. The other shock goes forward to the tower. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can just barely see it right there. So one goes forward, and then over here it goes backward to that bracket. So I'll have to run, I don't know, square tube or something. I plan to brace across here anyway, and maybe cross brace something towards this top, because I think this is a 4-cornered brace, and I think the idea is it keeps the frame from flexing this way. So like if you have a trailer on, it doesn't swing the back of the frame, let the frame fishtail essentially. So I'll have to do something there, but I'm probably going to do it at this top level rather than down there, because it would be nice to have all this space open right here for, you know, something. Even if I make it where I can put a tray or something in there and put tools or something in from the back, and like make a toolbox, underbody toolbox or something. We'll see. Either way, it's coming out. Now it looks like there's at least, let's see here, 1 rivet, 2 rivets, 3 rivets, 4 rivets, 5, 6, 7, looks like 8 rivets. Yeah. So it looks like just 8 rivets. I'm going to use my my plasma cutter to lop those rivets off. It doesn't particularly like gouging rivets, but it does the job. It's easier than an angle grinder, and it does a pretty good job of doing that cutting torch thing where you can cut off one surface. If you're careful, you can cut off one surface. If you have 2 pieces of metal, you can cut the top piece of metal off without cutting the bottom one. So as long as I'm kind of careful with how I'm doing this, I shouldn't cut into the frame, or at least shouldn't cut into the frame much if I do. So yeah, let's give it a try. Let me swing you around and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so yeah, you can see the pins like right there. It splashed a little bit out. You can see a couple little trails right there. But for the most part, the frame's completely untouched. Let me slide this down. Ugh. Yeah. So you can see it really did a good job. I'm fairly impressed. So the next two is one right here, you can see, and then there's one on the inside, the bottom, literally right there. So I'm going to cut this one, but I don't really want to cut that way because I've got all my tail light wiring and trailer plug and all that. So I think I'm going to flip around and shoot it this direction. It's going to come your way. Of course, I'm going to move you guys. Not that you wouldn't like to see that, but I'd like to keep my equipment not burnt to the ground, preferably. I think there's enough room I can cut it like this and it'll blow everything onto those tires. All right, let's try this again. Bad ground, false start. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't even need to punch on this one. All right, last one is right here. Again, I don't think I want to cut in that corner because it's going to splatter out at me. And all that heat, you want the heat to get pushed away. So I think we're going to have to go underneath. And that's not going to be great either. I think I'm going to come in here and cut it that direction. This will give you guys a little bit more of a show. I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna go get a flat chisel and drive it in. I think I could cut a little bit more to get the rest of the rivet off, but I don't really want to cut the frame. We're gonna stomp a fire out. Ha! I'm a firefighter too. All right. Here's what I got. Pretty fancy. The best chisels Harbor Freight has to offer. Yeah, there it goes. Bang that top up a little bit too. Come on. All right, here's that plate from the top. There's, you know, rivets on this end. Like I said, it's not going to come out of there. I mean, I might be able to slide it out the back if I didn't have my license plate holder and stuff in the way. But I think what we're going to do instead is just come down here and cut, and then cut over there. That'll let it go down and come out of there. But before we do that, I should mark where that shock holder is, because I'm probably going to want to replace it in the roughly same vicinity. So what I've come up with, it's right there. What I've come up with is, if you slide down a little, maybe a little more. All right, you can see the hole is pretty much, the top of the hole is pretty much level with the frame. So that'll be easy for me to remember later. I just need to make the center of the hole the top of the, at the top of the frame, between the two frame rails, at the top between the two frame rails. There we go. So now all I need to do is look down the length of that hole, and right in there, and then I can make a mark on this frame rail up on top, and then I can make a mark on the other frame rail up on top, and then I'll have a line to go across, and then I can mount it on that. Of course, I'll have to measure from the other side back this way, but we're going to try and mark that. All right, you guys tell me where to stop here. This way? No. This way? No. I think right here. See, I can look through the holes that way and get a good idea. Then I can do the same thing on this side. Square up with the holes over there. I don't know if you can see, so I'll make a mark in there somewhere. I'm going to move you guys slightly so I can stick my head up there and take a look. Let's see. Thinking right about there. All right. All right. So what that's going to do for me, I'll raise you guys back up a little bit. So that'll give me a straight line. Yeah, maybe up a little bit more. There you go. So that mark and the mark on the other side will give me a straight line across. And then I just need to measure how far from the inside of the frame rail on the other side up to, I guess, the center of this shock brackets. So right here is my line, side to side. And then we're going to measure how wide this is. 1 3/4. So 1 3/4 divided by 2, 1/2 inch, 1/4, and 1/8. So that's 3/4 and 1/8. That's 7/8. 7/8 plus 1 3/8 is 2 2/8, which is 2 1/4. So center on here, I'm just drawing a line for your reference. Center on there is 2 1/4 inches from here to center line on the shock. And then we know that the top of the frame rail and the top of the frame rail over there, if I pull a string across there, it will be the center line for the bolts this way. So between those two, well, it'll be the center line this way, and it'll be the center line front to back. And then we'll have the middle mark right there for the shock mount. So between those numbers, we should be able to do this. So what I'm going to do is write that on here. I said 2 1/4. So I'm going to circle that. There we go. So I'll just be able to remember 2 1/4 from the inside of the frame rail to the center of that, the shock mount, and yeah, should be in good shape. All right, here we go. Put our safety glasses on. This one I want to get out of the way. I always think about my feet. Don't want to light my feet on fire. Funny story. Swish. Done and done. Give it a little love tap. Look at that. Comes right out of there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And just like that, I have more scrap to add to my trailer of scrap metal. Anyway, so I need to cut the other side out, but you guys have already seen me do that in intricate detail, so excruciating detail, maybe. So I'll lop that off. We'll see if any of that makes the edit or hits the floor. So, need to cut these wires loose. Make sure nothing's going to get caught. It should be pretty much there. Oh. See another place I zip tied it. All right. There we go. Piece of cake. See, that's a lot better. Got a lot more space down in there. Like I said before, I'm gonna have to come up with a replacement. I already know there's gonna be a cross member on the axle here coming to this frame rail. So I'll at least need a cross brace behind it to tie the two sides together. And then I think I might do some flat stock or square tube and just go like cross here, corner to corner. I don't think it needs much more than that, to be honest with you. So we'll see. So it occurs to me, since this is scrap anyway, since I cut that end off, it might be wise to hold on to this shock bracket. I think I'm going to cut it, try to cut it off the frame and save it, because it'll have all the measurements and stuff. If I put something across the frame to mount it to, might be able to just weld it right back on. Save myself some fabrication time. So let's see what we can do here. So I think I'm going to cut it about here and then try to follow that weld. get this so you guys can see what I'm doing. This ground untangled. That heat's coming out of that bracket. That'll warm your glove up. So unlike a cutting torch, this thing gets hot like instantly. That's still a little hot. So you don't warm the metal up, you just go straight to cutting. But it's throwing so much heat with the compressed air that if it reflects, like the air circles off of anything back towards you, you feel all that heat on your hands really fast. Voila! Thing's toasty hot. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's kind of a weird once you take it off. Like that one leg's like crooked for whatever reason. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll reuse it. But if I need it, I've got it. If I decide to just cut it off and cut it off back this way and then weld it on to the end of the side of a piece of square tube, or cut a round circle and weld it to the side of a pipe or something, I can do that. I'll have it if I need it. Now we need to build the top bracket for the airbag that goes on the frame. The airbag will then push up against it. So here's what I've drawn up. It's amazing. It's three-dimensional. Sorry the lines aren't real straight, I just drew it by hand. But anyway, give some basic dimensions. So we're gonna have a back plate, we're gonna have a bottom plate, we're gonna have a gusset. Gives us some basic dimensions for that. And then of course it tells us we're gonna have to drill 4 holes. It doesn't, it's breezy here, which is actually nice. It doesn't really show it, but this is actually angled in. So like if you see this 4.5 at the front, 6 at the back, that's 6 inches the same across here. So it tapers down from 6 to 4.5 between that back and the front. And here's our 3 pieces we're going to try to build. Here's our back plate dimensions, 1.25 in this way, then there should be 3.5 between the holes, which should leave 1.25 inch. Of course 6.25 by 6, so my rectangle's the wrong way, but whatever. And then down here we've got 6 inch. You can see those tapers better here, especially with that dotted line. Sorry, the camera's bouncing. So then we're going to go 1.5 inch here. And then I'm not really worried about what the distance is here. The big thing is I need that 2 3/4 between the 2 holes. It should come out to that same 1.5 inch on this side. But if it doesn't, I don't really care, as long as it's close. This is where bolts are going to go into the top of the airbag. So that's threaded in the top of the airbag. So I need to make sure these are the right distance. And then last but not least, the gusset that's going to go between these. It's right here, and we're going to have a 3 inch by 6 inch, whatever that comes out to an angle. I don't know. Obviously not a 45. What it would 70-ish. I don't know. I'm not sure what that would be, but don't really need to know to be able to cut it. But anyway, thought you might like to look at my junk pile in the backyard. I got a load of scrap that needs to be gotten rid of, and then I got some other stuff I could probably sort through and get rid of, but I'm gonna keep holding on to some of the junk. All right, well, let's get this thing cut up and drilled and built. right, I think we got our pieces all ready to assemble. Gonna tack them together with the wire welder and then heavy weld them with the stick. Pretty straightforward. All right, we'll stick weld these up. Sorry for the noise, you're sitting right above my welder. Alright, here's what they look like welded up. Don't look at that, it's not too pretty. But yeah, here, let me show you. Alright, yeah, I'm walking around my welder. Well, the sun's wrong, but yeah, that's kind of what they look like. Don't pay attention to that. Somebody did something and then he had second thoughts. Anyway, yeah, we'll see if we can get them put on the truck. All right, here's how it turned out. I've just kind of got the stuff all sat up there together. You can see the bracket, and then there's a gap between the airbag and the bracket because the airbag's gonna have to have air in it to extend up a little bit more. And yeah, you can see the airbag, and then that piece of square tube goes underneath, and the bracket's up in there. I think that's about right. I think that looks pretty good. I think by the time I get the truck on the ground, it'll be fairly level according to the rope that I have on the other side. So yeah, I'm happy with how it's going so far. Now we just have to take it all apart and paint eventually paint all the parts up and put it back together. Next, we need to build a brace going across the two lower frame rails. As you can see in the picture right up there, we've got it linked to the axle, and then the axle's connected here in these, well, you can't see the one under there, but much like this one, there's another one on that side. So that'll keep it from going this way. This upright will keep the axle from shifting side to side underneath the frame. That pressure is then going to transfer across this pipe and into this frame rail. So I don't want this frame rail to bow if there's a lot of pressure on the axle one way or the other. So I'm going to build a bracket, or a brace rather, that attaches here and runs across parallel to the bar, but behind it, and attaches over here. And if you can see those holes, there's two holes, one there, That's the back of the bracket for the airbags, and I'm going to try to use those 2 bolts, and we'll put the bracket for the airbag on the outside there, and then the bolts will come through and go into the plate on the end of this brace, and I'll be able to bolt in. And then also over here I have my shock mount that I have to build somewhere, going down to that shock holder. You can kind of see it right there. It's going to come up to there, so I'm thinking I can run that square tube. I'm going to use square tube, sorry, revealing my secrets. I think I can extend out the side just a little bit and put that shock bracket right there, and it should be just fine. So let's take a look at the plan. So here it is. Dun, dun, dun. Let me come in a little bit so you can see. All right, so basically we've got the truck frame up here either side, then we're building a brace across here, and then on either end it's going to have a plate, and the total distance we're looking at is 37 1/8 between the inside of the frame rails. So we're going to have to build 2 of these plates, and one's going to be a slightly different size because there's not quite enough room to run it as far down as I'm going to with this one. So this one, of course, is going to be 6x4, and then of course hole locations and distances, spacing. This will sit on the back of that airbag top support brace, or whatever bracket, I guess is what I was calling it. And then this will sit on the other side. This is actually going on the right side, this is going on the left, which I should put on there. Here's the layout. We got the left side 4 inches by 6. Here's our drilling positions, just going to be 2 holes. And then on the right side we've got a little bit less, a 3/4, because I only need 3/4 of an inch between here and here instead of 1 1/4, because there's another plate that's going to go on the frame right here. So there's a little difference. I'll have to keep that straight. And then down at the bottom, here's the piece of square tube, 36 5/8, plus these 2 1/4 inch plates should equal 37 1/8. That's our space between the 2 frame rails. And that piece of square tube is 1.5 inches with 1/8 inch wall thickness. So yeah, should be able to put it all together with this. I thought I'd give you guys a shot of my parts truck, air quotes. It's actually a few different trucks that I piled together, but should have plenty of parts for my little Dakota. got it all tacked up. Here's what I came up with for that shock. You'll see I used the end that I cut off because I figure the holes are drilled right and the spacing's good. I'm just going to weld it onto this 2-inch tube, kind of V'd it out a little bit, and then weld it on down at this end onto this 1.5-inch tube. I mean, it ain't pretty, but I think once it's welded up, cleaned up, I think it'll be fine. A little worried about lever action. I don't know if we're gonna have a problem with that shock coming up in levering the bar, twisting it. We'll see. I'll try to make sure my welds are good and heavy. It is 1/8 inch and it's only like 4 inches away from the end. So, I mean, I don't know how much power a single shock really makes. So, I think it'll be fine. If I see that it's a problem or it starts cracking the welds or something, I can always come up with some new idea. All right, so today we're gonna make a series of 3 braces. We're gonna need a brace going from the center point there to the center point here. And then I plan on running a brace from that corner up to this center point, and then from this center point back to this corner. And basically the idea is I wanna make that square not be able to bend or move. I'm a little bit concerned since the air bags are up in here, we got all of this frame hanging off the back, and I'm worried it's gonna do this like wiggle waggle kind of thing. So I'm hoping bracing it up here will help take care of that. And then also, because the frame hangs so far back past that airbag, I'm worried about it bending the back of the frame down and kind of kinking it over the airbag. So I plan to run a brace, this side might be easier, run a brace from down here up in the air to that upper part and then back down to the front, and do the same thing on both. That way it kind of bridges that weight and hopefully helps support this if I'm pulling a heavy trailer, you know, a trailer with a heavy tongue. It'll help it keep from bending the frame down. So I don't have a design for this. We're just going to measure and start cutting it up and weld it in there and see what happens. All right, so we've completed the top bracing. You can kind of see it up there. I've triangled that, and then a centerpiece there coming forward, and then of course we got one up here. So this square that is the surface of the bed, what the bed is going to sit on, I should say, should be very rigid as far as square. Now I'm worried about when with the airbag sitting like right there behind the axle, I'm worried about all this frame hanging out the back. If I put a heavy trailer on, it's going to try to bend the frame. So what I'm going to do is what I already did on the other side, off camera, sorry. I'm going to run a brace from down in this corner, run it up to there, then I'm going to run a brace from there down to back by this back bumper. So we'll kind of create a bridge over top of the axle, if you will. So hopefully that'll help that back end from like bouncing up and down, or, you know, actually bending down and like kinking the frame over the axle and airbag. So oh yeah. All right, there you have it. Got a nice brace in. It's secure down at that corner of the frame. It goes up, secured up in here good. Comes down, secured right behind the bumper. Should be perfect. It's still bouncy because it's sitting on those blocks right there. So now all of that pressure is going to be put on that spot. But once you get the wheels in, it's going to balance it end to end. So should be fine. All right, so now we got to get those painted up. So this is kind of the system I've come up with for painting parts and pieces. We've got a carport, and it's easy to hang stuff from the end of the carport and then be able to paint it completely suspended. And I use Rust-Oleum Usually 2 coats of Rust-Oleum is a pretty good amount as long as you put it on pretty heavy. So here we go. All right, got everything painted up, 2 coats of paint. Think we're good to go. So the question here is going to be where to stop. Obviously I want to do those new bracing, but I think I'm going to do this angle. Then I think I'm going to do the side frame rail. It'll kind of cover all those marks I put down there. But I think I'm going to stop right back here and leave the bumper and everything the way it is. Otherwise I'd have to take the taillights out and peel that tape off, and I'm not going to do all that. Well, that's that side. I think that looks a lot better already. There you have it, folks. Not sure how well you can see with the sun shining this direction, but yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Very satisfied. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm always surprised when I stumble upon a YouTube creator who has millions of subscribers and has been producing videos for years, completely unknown to me. I would like to help correct this issue by giving some of my favorite creators a shout out during my videos. To that end, I would like to take this opportunity to spotlight one of my fellow YouTube creators, someone I personally subscribe to. If you find my content interesting, please consider going down to the video's description and follow the link I have placed there. The link will take you to today's chosen creator. But for now, please stay tuned for any bloopers related to this video. Thank you, everyone. So I think I'm going to cut it about here and then try to follow that weld. We'll see how that works out. Probably work better if I turn the welder on.